Hello, I'm Kathy Stupansky, faculty with NAIOMT, and today I'm going to demonstrate various ways to set up the patient with locking to make things more efficient and effective for your mobilizations and manipulations for the lumbar spine. The techniques that I'm using were first shown to me by Earl Petman. He also has a book that demonstrates these very well, thrust manipulations. So if you're needing to refer to further reading on this, then that would be something you could do. So just to start with, in the lower levels, when we're teaching mobilization, oftentimes we'll wind the patient down all the way down into extension or up into extension and then mobilize, or wind them all the way down into flexion and then mobilize. Now we're going to break it up and add a more rigid lever above and or below. So to demonstrate the upper lever locking, we can either set them up in ipsolateral locking or contralateral locking in flexion or extension. So at first, when we were attempting to take the patient down into their motion, the rotation component will always be constant. So when she's lying on her right side here, the rotation of the trunk will always be to her left. That is the constant for the upper lever. To add in extension, I can either pull vertically to encourage extension with that rotation, or I can pull horizontally with the lower arm to encourage flexion. I can also pull in a 45-degree angle to encourage neutral rotation. So I have three different positions that I could pull the lower arm to encourage various amounts of extension or flexion into the segment. Now, the ipsilateral versus contralateral portion of this is adding in the side bending. So in order to encourage side bending, I can either pull cranially with the arm, which would encourage side bending to the same side as the rotation, or I can pull caudally with the arm to encourage side bending to the opposite side of the rotation that I'm going to incur. So now, if I want to put that together for the upper lever, then I'm going to encourage extension, I first have the patient close to me by placing my fist down on here, get them close to you. I can place the upper arm a little bit behind them to encourage extension. I'm going to palpate with my palpation hand in between the segments, say we'll pick L3-4, and now I'm going to grasp onto the lower arm, and in order to do an ipsilateral extension lock, then I'm going to pull the arm in that resultant between the vertical and the cranial that I had just demonstrated. So in between there, as I rotate her down, that will create rotation to the left, side bending to the left in extension. So then I've got my upper lever in a lock. Okay, so that's an ipsilateral extension lock. Okay, now let's undo that. Okay, now to do a contralateral extension lock, I'm going to again have her come close to me. So you want the patient relatively close all the time. Again, place the arm behind them a little bit to encourage extension. Now to do a contralateral extension lock, then I want my side bending to go opposite to the rotation. So the rotation is to the left. I want to now still pull vertically to encourage extension, but vertically and caudally to then get side bending into the table. So that will be rotation to the left with side bending to the right. And it's in extension. And then I'm in here and I can do my mobilization. Okay? So that's a contralateral extension lock. All right, undo this. Now to do flexion lock from above, then I'm going to encourage the horizontal pull. So now, to encourage flexion, I'm going to place this upper arm forward, and they can place their hand onto the table to give them a feeling of stability. And again, I'm going to palpate in between the interspinous space, and I'm going to grasp onto this lower arm. And in order to create flexion, again, I can pull straight horizontally. Now to get the ipsilateral lock of the side bending and rotation going the same way, I'm going to pull cranially, but with that, still with that horizontal pull, okay? So that'll give me the rotation to the left, side bending to the left in flexion for my lock. All right, undo this. Then to create a contralateral flexion lock from above, same position for this upper body. She's nice and close to me. Palpate here. I'm now going to pull caudally and horizontally through the table to create that flexion. And now I am getting rotation to the left, side bending to the right, a contralateral flexion lock from above.